Hey, what is up guys? Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at a top Mortal game and flaming the players. Well, actually, I just want to point out that these players actually make mistakes as well. You're going to see that this game is a rank 3, a 148, 128, 30, 327, 170, 85, 43, 132, 17. It has a lot of really good players, and yet I still want to talk about what they do right, what they do wrong, so that you guys can see it and hopefully implement these mistakes and the things that they do well into your games as well. And so yeah, if you're excited for this series, or, well, I shouldn't call it a series, but this video where I'll be looking at top level games instead of just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5k MMR games, this is more of a 7.5 8k average MMR game, then smash that like button. Absolutely obliterate it. In fact, what I want you guys to do is to break the like button so that it becomes broken. And last but not least, before we hop into it, click the link down below to sign up for GAMELEAP.com. The reason why you guys should consider it is if you like the YouTube content here, but you're more focused on gaining MMR, like you're hardcore want to get to the next rank, I recommend you sign up to GAMELEAP.com, where I go in depth about various heroes. Recently, I did a live co-op coaching session. It was not one-on-one with the player, and I really related more to everyone watching, not just the one guy. So if you're interested in that, you want to learn from live coaching sessions, other meta videos that I talk about, and a ton of hero courses we have over there, curated by pro players such as your boy Speed, click the link down below, and I hope to see you guys there. Alright, and briefly now before we get into it, I just want to list out a couple players that I definitely recognize from this game that you guys would have recognized as well. And number 1, we have Moose. Number 2, we have Hector, the best Wraith King player in the world. We have Poop Kid. I'm sure a lot of you guys know Poop Kid. It's 2.0 Poop Kid, actually. Very cool. The second version of Poop Kid. We have, I actually don't know who this is. We have Fear, right, TI5 winner, and then we have CCNC, another professional player. So, let's get into it. Alright, so first things first, let's take a look at the starting rune fight. And what I want to take a very clear look at is actually what this Animage does. So you're guys going to see, you see how he doesn't contest the rune? Guys, please do this in your games. If you are a weak carry who does not want to trade, and obviously an Animage does not want to trade with a Retaliate Ring of Protection Centaur, well then what you should do is simply go for this rune and then get out. It's a really good strategy to save HP and prevent yourself from losing your lane from just a rune trade. We actually see kind of an interesting build coming out from Fear. I haven't seen Hedras in a while. I guess he probably feels like this is just a sustain lane. When you're playing with an Animage's Witch Doctor, you definitely don't plan on getting any kills until much later on, unless someone brutally overextends, so the Hedras makes sense in that regard. However, I feel like in most lanes, I'd rather just have a salve and a lot more regen. But this is definitely a chip lane from the enemy team, and less of a kill lane. Also, the next thing I want to mention about Fear's gameplay that I really agree with and I wish more support players would do is he's spamming his stun. It's 80 mana, guys, and I don't care if you're playing Lion or Ogre, it's a low mana stun. Most stuns are. And you're going to see, using the help of this range creep, he's able to get a pretty good potential cast. Now, the Centaur does actually see it coming and backs up, but you can tell he's used 2 stuns in 1 minute and 30 seconds. Most supports either have used 0 or maybe their first coming up to this point. And finally, as you can see from Fear here, he's really going in. Now, I don't know if I fully agree with this usage of the stun and the Maledict. The only reason why I think you could argue maybe it's okay is because the Centaur has already committed his salve, right? And therefore, the Centaur is basically stuck on this health, and therefore it's going to give Animage at least 1 wave of free farm. However, I think maybe Fear could have just waited a wave and then zone him off the next one with better positioning. Now let's take a look at the mid lane. We're going to be following CCNC against this Quap player who frankly I do not know who is. Apologize, maybe you are actually a Wings player or ex-Wings player. But yeah, really nice Dragon Slave there to secure 2 creeps. Is going really deep, almost gets a melee creep deny from that far away. Ships out a salve, drops the nulls before popping the mango, very important for efficiency. Let's see how he actually plays this next wave though, because he's a bit low on mana. Does have enough for 1 stun and 1 slave. He's actually seemingly going to push it in. No, okay. Hardcore keeping the wave back, so I think what he feels right now is that the Quap was low, and Quap actually walked back to base, so instead of pushing it in and giving Quap a wave under tower, what he's going to do instead is actually push it all the way back. Alright, let's see if anything interesting happens in this lane. So just a couple more nukes from CCNC to harass out the Quap. Actually nearly gets the range creep, but just barely gets it denied by the Quap. Really nice play overall. Ships out the bottle, gets it around the 340 minute mark, and actually, decides to walk back to base. This is something I wouldn't have expected, because I think a lot of players, what they would be thinking here is, oh, I just got a bottle at 340. What I can do is, use it all and then go for the rune. But the reason why that might not be a good idea is because he was low on HP, so the Quap could zone him off of it, and Quap has Blink, so it's pretty hard to contest runes in general against Quap. Upcoming here, I just want to talk about a small misplay from the Tiny. The only misplay that I think he makes here is he has a bit of a lack of awareness when it comes to what the Legion's health pool is, and because of this, it actually causes him to take a bad trade. So if anyone knows anything about Tiny right now, toss level 1 range is garbage, right? It's really not that good. You barely can toss the hero away. It's unbelievably mediocre, as you can kind of see. It's just underwhelming. Right, the toss range, it's not terrible, but it's definitely underwhelming. And therefore, you need to make sure that your teammate is close and ready to help you if you're going to toss. So what the Tiny was trying to do here is actually man up so that the Jakiro would overcommit, he could toss to Legion, and the Legion can help to get the kill. But the problem is that the Legion has to fight against the Bloodseeker, right? So the Legion has to fight the Bloodseeker, and the Legion's already low HP, and therefore, even if she shifted over to help with the Jakiro, it wouldn't really work out that well, and then the Tiny takes an unbelievably unfavorable trade, which gets him zoned out pretty hard. On top of that, it looks like the Legion ends up going down. Let's actually see what the Legion could have done to actually avoid that death, because that's a pretty big death. It's underneath a creep wave, so at this point, I think... Okay, so she is pulling creep aggro, right, trying to pull the wave as far back as possible, but honestly, this Jakiro makes a really nice play to wrap. Does make a bit of a mistake not chopping through the trees. The movement was a bit odd there, that she didn't go immediately down. I think it is the correct decision to actually... man up there as the Legion, but yeah, just ends up going down. Wow, the Tiny actually might get run down too? No. Hector is just going to take the courier snipe. Oh my god! Hector at minute 5:30, has 45 last hits. And you guys think you're good at last hitting. That is insane. It's not like he's even playing against an Enigma or something like that. He must just be farming small creeps. So here, he's going to decide to push in the lane. Interesting decision. I suppose he'll go farm the medium camp afterwards. Let's see what his efficiency play is. No, so he's actually going to look to push in the wave and siege with the cart. Right, that makes complete sense. That's why Hector's a better carry player than me. There's no denying that. Better decision. Actually goes for the rupture here. This is pretty deep. Oh, man. Okay, so one thing I do want to mention is that I understand why he would consider not using his... Q on the Legion, because I believe she can actually purge it with the press the attack. However, I think when you want to man up at some point, you will use it. Great play by the Legion not to use it until very late, right? That's a good sign of a Legion player, not using press the attack until the Bloodseeker has to man up. But overall, maybe just a bit of an overcommitment, right? One thing that I think we could say and observe from this is that maybe Hector didn't have to dive this at all, right? There's not much of a purpose in actually diving this. I mean, getting the kill is great and all, right? It gives you a bit of XP and gold. But the only problem with this is that obviously, it sets up for a bad rotation, right, where the mid laner can come in. It's under the tier 2, and most importantly, as long as they zone the Legion off this creep wave and let the cart siege, I think that's the biggest victory they can get, right? Because Legion will stay level 4, they can zone her here without having to really overcommit, because they can just stand... They can stand right here where it's hard for anyone to TP in and catch you. Not impossible, but difficult. And yeah, they would be able to continue farming afterwards. So, do I agree with this dive? I'm going to say no. He does end up getting the TP out, but still, I think that's a general loss of efficiency, but really a great decision to TP out nonetheless. Heading over to the 7-minute mark in 23 seconds, the Anti-Mage actually ends up going down, and I'm curious to see what he does next. So he immediately TPs back to lane. I'm a bit surprised he's not investing in a stick or Wraith Band at all. He's going straight for the Battle Fury. I suppose he just doesn't want to delay the timing. This is something that I have seen from a couple Anti-Mages, so I'm not going to say that it's wrong. It's just something I'm not particularly familiar with. However, I know that Anti-Mages are shifting away from Wraith Bands now and towards this Battle Fury build, so I will excuse it. Oh my god, the Tiny messed up so hard there. Let's actually see what the Tiny did wrong. So, the Tiny was pinging his Avalanche, number one. You see how he's pinging Avalanche? It's very important to do that when you're ganking a lane. Big fan. But now, what the Tiny does wrong is that he actually, well, was it the lift? I mean, that was a great lift, but still, I feel like there's somewhat of an issue with the Avalanche here, or maybe him not closing the gap. So, he goes in. This movement was weird. I don't know if that was a misclick, but he actually clicked behind himself, and that one click behind himself delayed his movement to the point where he actually messed up the Avalanche toss, because if he didn't click back there, he would be standing right here, get off a God tier Avalanche toss, which would have one-shot the Centaur, and Anti-Mage would have actually lived. So, pretty tough misplay there. I don't know what happened, if that was a misclick or just bad decision-making, but unfortunately it causes the Anti-Mage to die. Also, the Anti-Mage probably should have blinked out earlier, but he got greedy. What you gonna do? Oh, by the way, guys, I just want to say as a side note, you guys can do this for my games as well. Like, I think it'd be pretty funny if you want to, like, just look at one of my games and flame me. And the reason why I'm saying that is, like, I want to make sure everyone knows when I'm doing these videos and flaming people, I make tons of mistakes too. The goal is just to point them out and joke about it and have fun learning about it, right? If I'm sarcastic or, you know, anything like that, do understand that I do it because I want to just teach people. Right? I know you could argue maybe there's better ways for me to do it. but I personally find it funny, and I think others do too. Nonetheless, let's get back into the video. So, let's talk about Fierce Witch Doctor. Seems like he's rushing mech. Okay. Interesting. Decision to rush the mech. Actually pops the death ward here. Looks like he's just going to go down. Wow, what a play by the Rubik. Beautiful toss steal, but interesting decision to rush the mech. Is going the wand beforehand, which I think is a requirement. This is not something I've seen before. Mech does have a really good build-up now with the headdress into the buckler. Both of those items have been nerfed at least 18 times each. I'm not even kidding, dude. Like, buckler and headdress have both received, like, 9 nerfs apiece. But interesting build to actually rush the mech. It's not something I've seen before, but I can't say I think it's bad. I'm just not sure it's the best build-up. However, with bracers being nerfed, maybe it's okay. Alright, let's see this next play. So the Legion's actually coming in from the back. Looks like they kind of want to go on the quap, but that's a hard kill. Overall, this seems like a very hard kill. They do have Maledict, though, and if you guys know anything about Maledict, it is the strength hero counter, so they secure the kill. Let's see if they can get +1. So let's watch it from the perspective of CCNC. So he's going to have to disengage at the back here. Probably going to lead in with a nuke. Yeah, leads in with the nuke just because you want to get it off cooldown and build up your Furious Soul stack. So he doesn't get the kill. Let's see what he does next for efficiency purposes. Currently actually 3-0. The Rubik with the young. Oh, gets his Yules off the courier though, and that's going to secure a kill. Rubik didn't check the items when the courier came in, and it's gonna make him fall. So bit of a misplay from the Rubik. I mean, the Rubik probably knew from a second ago that CCNC didn't have the Yules, but literally came off the courier. So honestly, I would say a bit unfortunate for the Rubik, but I think some could call it a misplay. Also, we're going to see the Anti-Mage top side right now. Not going to push in the next wave. I don't blame him. I think it's very dangerous to push up that far, especially against the likes of this Quap. She does end up going down though, so maybe he could have gone top here? Yeah, it's a hard decision. He actually is going to go back up. Was that just a straight up mistake? That's the question we got to ask ourselves, guys. And this is how I like to analyze games, right? Everything can be a mistake. So he pushes in this wave, but what did we see? We see the Centaur bottom. We don't see this Bloodseeker, I can tell you that for sure. So maybe that's what he was fearing, because this Bloodseeker, we can see him on the map right now, but that's just a bug. There's nothing actually giving vision of him. So the question is, like, why didn't he go to the next wave? So he does see the Quap, he saw the Centaur, Rubik's dead. So the only hero is not showing her Jakiro and Blood. I guess he feels like Bloodseeker is a big enough threat to the point where he doesn't want to push the wave, and therefore he backs off. So yeah, and some people might say, well, it's fine, just counterspell it. Well, if the Bloodseeker does it out of vision, that's not an option. And some might say, oh, just TP away from the Rupture. But the problem is he had no TP at the time, so yeah. However, he does see all of them on the map now, sees all of the mid Bloodseeker on this bottom ward, and cuts the wave. And that is a sign of a very high MMR player. His movements are completely predicated on what he sees on the map, right? He only goes and cuts the wave when he sees absolutely every threat. In fact, oh my god, he's getting gone on here. Is he gonna get stampeded? The Rubik! No way! Oh my gosh, the synergy there. You guys are like, I don't know why I'm not MMR. Do you make plays like this? This was ridiculous. Gets to steal after using the Avalanche to chip him down. Leads with the Fade Bolt, by the way, and the Avalanche. Very important high MMR practice where you lead with your nukes to get them off cooldown. Doesn't lift right away to bait out the blink. Follows with the blink. Gets the lift off. Tosses him back into the Centaur. Centaur realizes what's happening. Lines up the perfectly timed stomp that nearly was out of range. Pops the Retaliate. Kill secured. Oh my gosh. Absolutely beautiful from the Centaur. However, the Gang Squad comes back in. Such is life. Looks like the Rubik's gonna get out. Yeah, he is a blink. There's actually nothing that can kill him when he has this blink. And they've already committed their Yules. Alright, at this point in the game, we're actually gonna see that CCNC is currently at 14 minutes in, 120 CS and 6-0. That is a ridiculous score. So much CS for how active he's been. And the Gang Squad. Guys, let's talk about this. This is such an important thing to understand that I just don't, you just really don't see this in these type of games. So first off, CCNC hitting this tier 2 tower, forcing a reaction. Right? He forces the reaction. And then most importantly, these heroes are working together. Why is that important? It's because without the Witch Doctor, Tiny is weak. And without the Tiny, the Witch Doctor is weak. And when you put them together, you can get some kills. So CCNC once again cuts the wave to bait in the Centaur. Centaur steps up for the wave. The Yules comes out. Avalanche toss with the Maledict. And they take him out. However, they do get punished, so ends up not working out too well. One thing we do have to keep an eye on, though, is this Hector Bloodseeker. 131 CS, 6-2 at 60 minutes in is a ridiculously large amount of farm. Same thing with the CCNC Lina being very active. Actually does get ganked up, though. I think he'll end up falling to this Maledict. He will. Let's look at the map and see if Hector could have predicted this, because this is the question you always got to ask yourself when you're a carry. Could I have avoided this gank or not? If you don't ask yourself that question every time you die, it's either you haven't thought about it that way, or you're likely blaming some exterior thing like lack of vision, right? Don't do that. While it could be the case and could be an issue, what do we see right now? So we see the Anti-Mage bottom. I mean, this is a really well-crafted gank. He sees the Lina pushing in mid right now. I don't believe that's smoke, so sees the Lina pushing in mid. Yeah, okay, guys. If you ever die to a gank like this, where you never saw it coming, I will not blame you. I say this to my coaching students as well. If you died to a gank where they never showed, that's fine, right? It is very hard to read that. Sure, you could say, oh, Tiny Legion and Witch Doctor hadn't shown on the map for a bit. Maybe you should be careful. But obviously, he doesn't want to stop farming, and his team's kind of in the area too. But keep that in mind, guys. That is what we call a high MMR smoke. Because you notice how when we were looking at the map, we never saw it? Also, we never saw them grouping together. The AM was showing bottom, Lina was showing mid to make it not so obvious. Really cool play. Good response, though, from their team, obviously, as you can see. The Bloodrai comes out. However, the toss does go off, and the Maledict already had come out. So therefore, the Bloodseeker will end up falling. And I would say that was a pretty dang good trade for the Radiant. In fact, the Lina's going to come in now, burst down the Jakiro, Avalanche to cancel the Death Ward, and a very well-played fight. Actually, I want to look at that from the perspective of CCNC and show how he actually plays this all out. So he sees the smoke coming. You see how he backs, guys? High MMR movement. He realizes that the smoke is coming through. He doesn't want to show the enemy team that there's something happening. So if he walked from this wave up here, the Bloodseeker would freak out because that's how good they are looking at the minimap. The Bloodseeker would see this Lina going bottom. He would be like, oh, they're smoked. Back. Right? But the Lina backs up, which makes the Bloodseeker feel like, oh, okay, Lina's backing. They're not going. And then only after pushing this wave and when the gank comes through, he shifts over, pops the Shadow Blade, and now can look to clean up the fight. Didn't want to use the Quap, unfortunately lost the opportunity, but does pick up the Jakiro kill nonetheless. And yeah, now he's going to go immediately back to the mid wave. Gotta love it, gotta love it. On top of that, they're even going to invade the top jungle here. Once again, the synergy from the Tiny and the Witch Doctor is just constant, right? They're constantly making moves around the map. On top of that, Imp Claw for the Lina now, and the Anti-Mage is finally managing to come back. We're going to see that his net worth is actually almost 700 away from the Bloodseeker, who was actually nearly 2,000 away from him only a couple of minutes ago. All right, next up, let's look at a death from CCNC to see if it was avoidable. So what do we see on the map right now? We see a Centaur, item check, no Blink Dagger. Very important to note, right? I think none of them have a blink. We do have a Rubik with an Optic and an Aether, so that's kind of like a pseudo blink. He can lift you from out of vision, which is a big deal. And yeah, we see I don't think we see the Bloodseeker. There's no ward there, is it? No, I think that's just a bug. So what do we see? Not much, actually. Only thing he sees is the Centaur on that bottom side ward. Also, I think he would assume that this ward was scout out of smoke if there would be one coming. He sees the Quap coming towards him, so okay, Quap did actually signal that he was coming. Even the Bloodseeker is showing here. Who does he get caught by? Wow, look at the smoke gang. I love this. Guys, like, this is what I'm saying. You see how these ganks play out? Do you see how these ganks play out? Where did they even come from, you might ask? Well, they cut through mid. The only thing that I want to show you guys that I think could have potentially given away this smoke play. It's very small, but I'm serious. These are the type of things that I genuinely believe, well, they're things that I've thought about, therefore likely the pros have thought about as well, which is this small movement by the Quap to go from here to slightly up and then back down is weird. In my opinion, it's weird because the mid wave is here. Why would she go like boom, boom, boom? It's a weird decision. I feel like she almost didn't want to give up the smoke when she was walking up, so she goes down. But nonetheless, smoke comes out. They catch him. Oh, wait. Was that a Quap illusion mid? How did the Quap even get there? What the? Oh, he just blinks up. Wow, okay. Yeah. Next up, let's take a look at this Legion. So, we're about 19 minutes, and you're obviously very, very underfarmed. Legion Commander, there's no denying that. Nearly has the same farm as the Witch Doctor. So, clearly, I would say this game, it's in a weird spot because they're only 1k ahead, but their two major cores have most of the farm, which I would say is generally a good thing. Not that you want your Legion to be 5k net worth, you definitely do not. But nonetheless, let's see how this Legion plays the next fight. Kind of a weird skill build. 2-3-3, not something I would expect. Oof, blinks in, did get canceled. We'll take the outpost nonetheless. They actually smoked immediately across the mid. Looks like he's going to push the wave. No, okay. He wanted to look for a duel on the person who was pushing mid. Actually makes a Roshan call. Interesting. I wonder if they'll actually commit to that. Could be hard, right? They have Stampede to contest it. They have Jakiro ulti, Quap ulti, Bloodrai most importantly. This is a hard Rosh, but they're going to go for it. At the worst, right? At worst, the enemy team has to shift over and they can come fight it. So no, they actually just straight up get a Roshan. Beautiful. Surprise, but they give it to the Lina. See what their next decision is. We're going to watch a fight or two from the Lena's perspective and then probably shift over to Centaur or something like that. Okay, Lesion's staying at a vision right now. The reason being is that if the Lena gets lifted or stomped, she wants to be able to purge it. Even the Orchid, if the Orchid comes out, he wants to be able to purge it. So generally staying at a vision. Actually just straight up goes on the Bloodseeker here. Wow, no fear to dive that tower. I mean, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of that play. I'm a bit surprised that it even worked in the first place. I feel like Hector's probably tilted that his team didn't back him up. Not gonna lie, that seems like something Hector would say. But like, yeah, how did this happen? I feel like... Yeah, just a really nice collapse. He didn't see any of them on the map. However, he did know that they were mid not too long ago, so I would say a bit of a misplay. If anything, the enemy team should have baited him mid there. So definitely a bit of a misplay from Hector, not waiting for his team to get close enough, right? I think it's something important. Whenever you get ahead or you feel like you're the most farm hero that needs to bait or like get gone on in the fights because you're tanky, make sure your team is close to you before you actually step up, right? I think Hector went a little bit early. You could also argue that his team went a little bit late, which is probably fair too. But it's one or the other, you know, someone's got to wait for someone. All right, next up, let's look at this fight from the Centaur. Kind of a weird build. I'll be honest, I'm not sure I love the no blink here, right? Especially considering he's not upgrading these items. Sure, it makes him tanky like here, but even the Ring of Tarask, the only reason why I say I'm not sure about it is because his team kind of does need him to frontline until the Bloodseeker has a BKB, which sure he is close to, right? Very, very close. In fact, he's going to have it in a second. But until then, it's pretty hard. So, like, almost here, I'm glad that Centaur's getting gone on. He's going to pop his ulti. He's going to get chain stun with the Maledict. However, this feels like a pretty good bait. I'm surprised they don't just clean up this fight. So Lena does have Aegis, though. Does this work out for them? She does have BKB on Lena. Let's see how the Animage plays it. I'm going to assume he comes in. Oh, no, he blinks into an Ice Path. Oh! Going to continue to chase. Doesn't overcommit with the blink too early. Good press the attack from the Legion. Cancel that out. Going to have to blink away. Oof. Bit of a misplay. So Lena's actually kind of going to go in. Bloodseeker BKB does get forced early, but he's going to be chasing. Animage, okay, no. Things settle down, they go back to farming. Let's watch AM for a bit. Going to shift back up to the top side here. I'm curious if he'll go bottom side, just try to shove into mid wave or at a bottom wave. At this point in the game, when you're pretty strong on AM, you generally don't want to farm the opposite side of the map just in case a fight breaks out. This is like, you know, you're strong enough to the point where you do want to be involved in fights now, so you see how he's farming like behind his team? I like this, right? He doesn't have to be the first, but he does want to be here. That's what he's going to do. He goes in. He can try to clean up now. With the Orb of Venom, he nearly gets the Jakiro kill. Was a little bit late to that fight. There's no doubting that. Does go back to immediately shoving the top wave. Very, very efficient. Back to the next camp. Blinking with the Intreads. Just beautiful play overall. He is going to have to get mana somehow. Decides to ship out the Clarities. I don't know if the Clarity's going to be enough, to be honest. Animage needs a lot more mana than you think, right? He is going to switch to Intreads and all, but I'm afraid this is not going to be enough mana. I suppose with the Perseverance, he'll regen it over time, though. Oh, he gets a regen rune. Okay, that's convenient. Alright, next up, let's look at this next fight in Hector's perspective, because honestly, he has to carry this fight so hard. His Quap is 3k net worth behind him. The Animage is absolutely popping off, and he has his BKB timing. Like, this is Bloodseeker's major spike, where he has 2 DPS items, or 2 items, and then a BKB. He's quite dang strong, so goes for the Rupture onto the Lina. However, the Jakiro, it kind of baited the Jakiro. Honestly, the Jakiro probably shouldn't have walked it at all, but I guess it sets up for a double kill. Alright, secures them both. They are going to chase the Lina. Oh no! Oh no! I mean, the question you have to ask is, was this preventable? I mean, I think the thing is, the question you have to ask is, does Lina have a way out here or not? The answer is she has BKB TP. That's her best option. Honestly, if she BKB TPs, she might just straight up die to right clicks. Like, these heroes all hit pretty hard. So the thing that CCNC does well is he doesn't stun until he walks up the hill, number one. But then I'm a bit surprised, I suppose, that Hector didn't BKB it? It's tough. He probably assumed with 2500 HP he wouldn't die, but the right clicks of the Lina come out and take him out, and then, man, CCNC is just shredding this Quap with pure right clicks, not a single nuke. Quap gets bashed, and she goes down. Yeah, and I guess you could just say it's a bit of a misplay from Hector. I mean, that's a tough one. I didn't think he would die, because honestly, I wouldn't expect him to pop BKB there. I probably wouldn't have popped BKB myself. But yeah, that's, it's gonna cost him, well, everything costs you the game, right? Dota is a game of small mistakes. Every decision up to 30 minutes either did or did not cost him the game. But he goes down, and yeah, that's gonna be about the end of this match. Honestly, a great jump by the Tiny. I love this Veil, by the way. Such a fan. I think it works so well with the Maledict. It's great with Lina stuns, even great with Animage. I mean, sure, the mana break is physical, but your ulti is still magical, and just being able to amp up all that damage is absolutely potent. So I love that supports are starting to actually buy this item. And then he's going to go for the E-Blade next. He is really farmed, actually. 97 CS with 14 assists and 4 kills on the position for Tiny Barada. Honestly, props to him and Fear. Okay, honestly, I don't know who this is. He is rank 30, but it does not surprise me that him and Fear work so well together. I think if they didn't work so well together, they would have basically killed no one this game. And I'm serious about that, guys. And that's what it takes to get to the next level. You might say, oh, but my supports never would work with me. Well, yeah, I mean, maybe, sometimes. But at the same time, sometimes they would. Sometimes they will. It just depends how you present yourself. If you just say, hey man, can we smoke? I would say like 70-80% of the time, if you're not like 5k behavior score or 2k behavior score, they will. When I'm saying stuff like that, yes. I've basically always had 10k behavior score myself, even though I'm very toxic, as you guys know. I've generally had 10k behavior score, and people work with you at that behavior score for the most part. Always? No, of course not. Of course not always. You get the bad eggs in every batch, right? Isn't that? There's always a rotten egg or something like that, but nonetheless, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. It's been a pleasure. I like this type of video. If you want to see more of this, smash the like button. Let's get it to 3,000 likes. 3 for speed, 3 ease and speed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Before you leave, just want to say a quick message. If you're trying to get better at Dota or you just enjoyed that video, I know this is pretty general, and you're going to hear this quite a bit from me, but I recommend you sign up to GAMELEAP.com. Why? Because I put a lot of effort into the content over there, and generally the effort I do there is different from the content you're going to see here on YouTube. It is different. In fact, I usually go a lot more in depth on topics or into niche topics that help you get to the next level even faster. Because on YouTube, I often have to keep it more mainstream. And that's even why I'm putting it at the end of this YouTube video. That's why this is at the end, because a lot of people just watch 5 minutes, they skip through just for like the dopamine spike. But if you are interested in actually getting better at Dota, I recommend you go to the description down below, get your discount right now by clicking the link, sign up, use the discount code that you're going to see there, and I hope to see you there right now. So click it, and yeah, thanks for watching.